Imagine that you design a very nice plan for your design, but it's not going to be perfect without structural elements. Today, we're going to talk about an important element in architecture, columns. Let's learn, practice, and share. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, Math Tutorials. Today we're going to talk about the second design element, column tool. I believe a perfect designer is a person who think about every aspect of the project. So we want to talk about the structure of our design. I'm going to select the column tool, and here on the info box we're going to see a lot of settings for the column. Today I'm going to talk about the simplest options that we have here. So we're going to have just a basic column. The first thing is the layer, which columns are the structural elements, so we're not going to change that. The second thing is geometry method. This one is a simple geometry. By selecting that and clicking on the plan, we're going to see just a simple column, which now it's black, but we can change the color and we can change the lines and how we want to see it later. The second option is drawing a column by 2 clicks. So first I'm going to click and I have the bottom of the column, and then I can select that where do I want the top of the column. If I select the column here that I just draw, you can see that the top of the column is right here that I clicked for the second time, and the bottom is here. And the reason that you're seeing this column like that is because of the horizontal cutting plane that is set for the project. Also, it can be changed and it can be modified. But today we're just going to talk about the columns. All right, I'm going to select the column again, and then we have the third option, which is a rotated column. And as it's shown on the icon, you can see that it should be drawn by 2 clicks. So the first click, I'm gonna click on anywhere that I want. And then we see that we can select an angle for our rotated column. In this case, it doesn't matter what you choose for the distance because we're just having a vertical column. So we can set the angle. The distance could be anything. I'm going to press the tab button on my keyboard, and we can see that the distance is selected. I'm going to press the down button on my keyboard again, and we can set the angle of the columns that we want to draw. So in this case, I'm going to put in 3 and then enter. This column now is drawn by 30 degrees, but we can also have it here with the simple column that we draw at the first time. By pressing Ctrl E on my keyboard, we can select a basic point for the rotation of the column, and then we select a reference line, and then we can rotate it as we wish. So also here, I'm going to put -30, and then we're going to have the same result that we did just a moment ago. To be honest, I always use the simple column, and then I will change any specification of this column later. I'm going to select column tool again, and the next thing that we want to talk about is the structure. Here we have 2 buttons. The first one, we can select that the column. We want it rectangular, circular, or complex profile. I'm going to explain this one on the next video. So if you subscribe to my channel, you will see this upcoming video later. On the rectangular column, let me first click on this simple one. It doesn't make any change. I just don't want to make a mistake. So on the rectangular column, we can select the material of the column. So here I'm going to select, for example, steel structural. The next option is veneer. Now it's turned off. And if I turn it on by a click, we can have different options for the core, the finish, and other elements of the column. And also we can set a thickness for the veneer, which actually is the cover of the column. To understand this better, I'm just gonna click here. And it's completely clear that if I select this column, here we have these options that now is set as 10 centimeter, which it's too much. So I'm gonna set it like 0, 1, which is 1 centimeter. The core is steel, and the cover I'm gonna select, for example, bricks. Here we can see that it has different hatch on these two elements, so we could have more detailed columns. I'm gonna move on and let's see what do we have for the next option. Floor plan and sections. Here we can set how do we want to see the column on the floor plan and the sections. So I'm gonna draw another column here. I don't want this type and I want to turn it back to this type. By selecting column on the structure, I can just turn it off and then we have a normal column. Also, to remove this hatch here, I can just put it on the airspace frame so we don't see any extra lines here. So I'm going to select the column, and then here on the floor plan section, the first option that we have is show on the stories. Here on this project that I'm working on, we have so many floors and we draw this column on the first floor and we want to see this column on all of these floors. So here on the show on stories, I should select all relevant stories, which means that here the height of the column is 26 centimeters. So definitely I'm going to see it through so many of these floors. But if I want to see it only on one specific floor, I can select home story only, which means the story that I draw this column, or home story and one story up. And then we have so many other options that we can see this column on the home story and one story up and down, or only one story up and not even on the home story that we draw the column. And here we were going to put it on all relevant story, which is the more accurate way to see a column on different levels. The next option is a floor plan display, which we have different options, but the most accurate one is projected. So let's explain this. On this column that we cannot see it, half of the column on the plan completely. Here we see this column like that, but for example, we want to see the whole column. I'm going to select this column here on the floor plan section setting. If I select the floor plan display to outlines only, I will see the whole column at the same time, and we don't have any cuts through this column. I'm going to put it back the way that it was, and I'm going to select the column, and the next option that I have here is cut surfaces. So basically any color and the lines that we see here has been cut. So I can select the core line, which now is solid, and the line pen is gray. I can change this as I wish. So here, for example, just to understand it better, I'm going to put core line pen to blue, and here we see that this line is blue. Then I can change, for example, the different lines for the outside. But the best option is a solid line and a color like black. The next one is override cut fill pens. Now we see it here as black because the background pen that we chose is a black color. I'm going to change it to something white. And then we cannot see this foreground pen because basically for the structure, we didn't select any type because I wanted to have a solid black column. But here, just for instance, if I select a different one like steel structural, we see some hatch inside that these colors can be change from this part here, which is the fill foreground pen. So if I change this color to blue, this hatch will be changed. And also I can change the background to something like that. So we can control the appearance of the column as you wish. But I always set the columns to something completely black because we can see it very well on any plans. The other option is the outlines. I'm not going to talk about it right now because the simple column that we draw it here, these options are not going to change the appearance. So I'm going to move forward to floor plan symbol. Here we can change different style for showing the column here. Now it's set to Corsair and we can set it to plain, which is a simple rectangular one, slash and X. Maybe in some plants or maybe in some countries, they rather to have this X inside the column core. But generally, I prefer the Corsair because it seems more professional. And also on the plans, you can read the columns much better. Also here, I can change uh, the distance of these lines from the center or from the column surface, which these two numbers, and also I can set a different color for these lines, which now I choose orange. I'm gonna put it back to the black color, and then the last option is cover fields, which I'm not gonna explain it right now. It's not gonna change the appearance for now. It's something personal that if you want to have a different style for the columns here and with different material. The next setting is linked stories. I can set the height of the column according to the floors that I have. For example, here I have so many floors, and for instance, I want this column to start from the first floor and go through the seventh floor. And I don't remember the height that I set on the story settings for each floors, and then I should sum up each height to the other floor and come up with a number. So I can set here that I want the bottom of the column be on the current story, which is the home story, and the top of the column be on, for example, the seventh floor. Here I don't see the seventh floor here. So I can click on the select story, and here I have all the stories that I have in my project. Here I can select this one and then OK. Automatically, the height of the column will be changed. Also, I can set a different height to be linked on these two floors. So now it says that the top of the column has 3 meter distance from this floor that I choose to be linked. So basically, you don't have any limitation to work with a simple column. The last thing that I want to explain is a cross-section size, which in this case is 30 centimeter by 30 centimeter. So if I change one of these numbers to something like 40, you can see that both of these number has been changed. But what if I want to have a rectangular column? I should just unlink these two numbers together and I can set a different number for this column. Now we have a column with dimension of 40 by 60. Also here we can set different sizes for the bottom and top of the column, and then we will have a tapered column. In the next video, I'm gonna explain this as an advanced setting of the column. If you like this video and subscribe to my channel, you will see the explanation of these settings and so many others in the next video. The last thing that I want to mention now is reference axis of the core. It means that if I want to draw a column, by clicking the column, you will see that it will drawn by the center of the column. But what if I have a wall here? I will draw a very quick thing here. And I want this column to be right on this corner. I will select the column And then if I click on this corner, you will see that the column is not at the right point. So with Control Z, I undo this, and then I select this corner of the column, and then I click it here. As you see, the column is exactly snapped to this corner of the walls. This is everything you should know about the columns so far. These were the simplest column that you can draw, and you can also draw different type of columns that is segmented, tapered, and inclined columns, which I'm gonna explain on the next video. I recommend if you have any questions for these options that I just talked about, please write it down on the comment. If you know a more simple way to edit a column or draw a column, please share it on the comments with the others. And remember that we are here to learn, practice, and share with each other. Thank you, everyone. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and we will see each other on the next video. Bye bye.